country see right now.
Sure.
So the pace at which it was developing its industry, the pace at which it was developing production, construction works in general, and huge infrastructural projects have changed the country, not just in terms of its, let's say, landscape, but also in terms of the lifestyle, way of living, and the quality of living of the people, drastically, right? So the changes are just incredible. And the potential that it has at the moment, the power that it already possesses, is based on real economy, and that is something that, to a huge extent, the Western Europe and the United States have lost once they decided to move the production and focus not on the real economy, but on let's say creating various kinds of economic derivatives. Brands, the value of which is based not on, let's say, the real sector, but the brand names and the brand, let's say, images, right? So that's exactly the egregor kind of thinking that makes people pay more just for, the brand name. And you cannot strategically survive with something like that, not having those solid foundations that are given by clear sources such as resources and production. So China, if it shuts down even part of the trade, that would be noticed by pretty much everyone globally, right? Because the trade that China has with most of the countries, it's at the top of the trade partners lists, right?
Indeed.
India is also good at developing industrial potential, IT sector, I'll mention that again. And so you will see that naturally the, the economic power, the power that they have as a trade partner would make them change their geopolitical role, and it's already happening. But luckily, neither China nor India are trying to impose their political rules and regulations on their partners. And in terms of economic, let's say, mechanisms, yes, they use quite a lot of them, but you do not see China trying to teach governments in the countries they trade with and work with on how to, implement some kind of Chinese principles of governance as universal. And that is a distinguishing feature, and that is a good thing in terms of, not interfering with the internal affairs.
Okay, not interjecting what you're saying, Yulia. I just want to have maybe a continuation of what you're saying. When we listen to your analysis, we can say that actually there is a shift of power from the traditional actors now to the new emerging actors that we have in the 21st century. And we know that with this shift, it has actually brought about this geopolitical maneuvering across the global world. So the question is, what are the implications of these changes on the global security and stability, and how can the aspect of trust and solidarity come in to fix this and move ahead? We underlined earlier on that the world is actually a global village, and the changes occurring are just but normal.
You see, when you look at the current disposition at the global arena, actually you can ask many questions that would not have clear answers. And here again, probably it's one of the questions that should be discussed in public talks more, I believe, sure. Because what we consider to be universal rules and mechanisms and values, and what we consider the top of the human being culture, mostly emanates from the Western Europe and the States. But the only reason why it is so, it's not because those are the most ancient civilizations. It's not because they are, coming up with solutions that are equally suitable for everyone on the globe. But it's just because they dared to impose. So the logical, I believe, and natural reaction to this would be in taking up own responsibility and sovereignty.
Indeed.
Because again, when you look at the culture and governance and everything, you have India, you have China, ancient civilization with proven, and you have quite a lot of facts and physical objects like artifacts that prove that. They have been around as civilizations for many thousands of years. You look at Egypt, you look at ancient African civilizations, you look at, the civilizations of Southern Africa, and there are physical objects just like, in Zimbabwe, you have the Zim fortresses, or what is remained from those that prove that thousands of years ago there were civilizations. In South America, you have quite a lot of that. So why does something that is much more new, that is not that much rooted, why do they proclaim that they have the right to tell everyone what to do? That's the question. Why do they say that their culture is better than any other culture that was developed by human beings and other parts of the world? And I think, going back to your very question, that kind of recognizing own responsibility and recognizing own sovereignty in terms of that, and kind of like looking into the facts, and accepting own strengths and weaknesses and some specific features, and then realizing that that could be a strong position in international relations would already do a lot, right?
Sure.
So when you know who you are, when you know who your let's say other players are at the international arena, the level of trust and solidarity could be much increased, because you know what you're talking about, you know what you can offer, you know what you need, and you know how to go about others without falling into dependencies on others' viewpoints, or mechanisms or systems that they try to impose just because they dare.
And thank you so much for that. With the changes occurring, we want to discuss on the better strategies that the global world can adopt, especially by the main or principal actors. And now we should know that international relation, of course, is about power and how power is being used, and of course the prestige that comes with it. Mr. Patrick, let's now look at how can diplomatic strategies and international agreement be reshaped to accommodate the changes, especially at the geopolitical level, that will foster inclusivity and cooperation among nations across the world, that is promoting globalization.
Yes. The problem is we have two different factors. We have this globalization factor, and then we have this trying of different powers to create this multipolar world. It's already working. There's a very good project. It's founded in Russia. It's not Russian propaganda. It's only like told you. It is the idea of people's diplomacy. It is the idea to connect the different cultures with each other, and to build this pyramid of understanding, of interests, of understanding each other in the culture, but also in the different problems, the different countries. People's diplomacy. It's now already working, and I'm also in different projects. They are doing this to give other people a voice. So this is what Russia doing, not soft power, not regime changing like the partners on the other side of the Atlantic. So it's to create a field, to create a floor for dialogue between the different cultures, different societies. And this was important. And also in the diplomacy is also a kind of this, but people's diplomacy is more. It's also the work of journalists, the different culture projects, student exchange and so on. But also the diplomats must find soft words. The problem what I'm missing now is the objectivity of diplomats. The Austrian foreign minister, Mr. Schallenberg, he has he used words that you couldn't explain. You haven't heard in the past. You never heard such words from a foreign minister of a neutral country. He's talking like a NATO minister, like a defense minister from Ukraine or whatever. So we have this atmosphere of war, of discrimination, of aggression, also in the words of diplomats.
Yeah.
And this must slow down. This is very important for the peace in the world and for understanding each other and for the dialogue and for to have trust in the policy. Nobody can trust foreign ministers or ambassadors. They are making reclam for war. This is not their job. And so it's very important to slow down in the words and so to create the floor for exchange and also for dialogue between the people. This is very important. This I miss now in the policy.
Indeed, very important. Talking about the diplomacy, we mentioned in our preamble the place of non-state actors, and of course the question is, what do you think, or in what ways have these non-state actors, such as we have multilateral corporations and non-governmental organizations, how have they or how can they reshape the international geopolitical dynamics to ensure the connectivity of the world in solidarity and full trust?
So, I think you asked about the work of the non-government organizations or the international organizations.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now the problem is we are living in the world of NGOs. This is a very big problem because the NGOs. What is an NGO? Yes, an NGO is only a lobby group sponsored by different other tanks. So the best you show about the Bill Gates Foundation or whatever, yes, and also about these climate change activists, about all these different groups. They are a minority sponsored by lobbyists. Yes, this is the problem. So we need not more NGOs, better less. but when they are working good for ideas, when they are working for good values, then okay, yes, they have a right to exist and to take part on this development in the world. But now I see the problem that many of these NGOs are only the hounds, the dogs of the globalists. And this is a problem. But maybe it's changed and we have other different structures built by the people, not by the lobbyists. But there is the problem about the financing because they have no money. Yes. So this is a very strange process. Yes. You have these communities or groups created from down, from the people, and they have no budget, they have no influence, they have no possibilities. And then you have these little groups, these very little groups with very small group of activists, but they have a big budget from different lobbies. So this is the problem now, and for this I have no solution. Excuse me, but I think they have a role. The NGOs and the different communities, they should be heard, also international, on the international level of the United Nations, of the different structures. Okay, and also inside the countries, the politicians should hear about the society. But when the society is only represented by a little group of freaks, they are sponsored by lobbies, like the climate change activists and so on. I think it's not the right way for cooperation. Yes, so we will see what's happening in the next years on this field.
Patrick Poppel, Dear Yulia, let's look at this aspect of technological advancement, particularly in communication and information. It's true that the question of information has actually been directed to Patrick, but I would love to have your perspective. What role do technological advancement, particularly in communication and information sharing, play in the connectiveness or connectedness, I beg your pardon, of global issues, and how does this impact global cooperation and diplomacy? The question actually directed to Yulia. Hello, Yulia. Please, are you there? Can you hear me? While waiting for Yulia, we want to apologize for the technical hurdles. Just to remind you that you are on the Pan-African Television For You media. We are analyzing geopolitical issues, and today we are looking at the aspect of building trust and solidarity among amidst the changing geopolitics in the global world. We have just 2 minutes to be together. I think I could have a concluding statement from you, Patrick Poppel, regarding the questions we just directed to Yulia. Hello, Patrick. Can you hear me?
Yes. So I think important is to know that we are living in a world that is very, very speedily developed in technical possibilities. So now this will has an influence of the possibilities for spreading information. So you can see that one blogger with thousands of followers has more reach than a established newspaper. It's existing the last 50 years. So we can see that technology and information in the information sector is a very important instrument, and a very important fundament for in this time we are living of information warfare, I like to say, yes, because I thought that one of the biggest sectors of hybrid warfare is the information warfare, the propaganda.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, Patrick, and the analysis on our topic for discussion. Does the Yulia BERG, just one word before we culminate?
Yes, finishing up this talk about trust, solidarity, I just to highlight that it's like there is a huge demand, but to reach trust and solidarity, to keep it real, and we need to go back to the basis where we start. There is not much needs to be fixed, but there is much that can be done with this.
Okay, thank you so much, dear Yulia. I want to thank you, televiewers, for being there and for trusting the Pan-African Television. I know this topic, when it comes to geopolitics and international relations topics, we have a lot to say, but subsequently, we are going to come back to this topic to continue to give you more insight and to edify the global world on the changes that are taking place in the world. I want to thank you. And of course, it is on this note that we're going to draw the curtains into today's edition of Global Insight. Don't go away. Keep having a lovely moment in the company of our transmissions. Bye-bye.